The Salt Lake Institute of Genealogy has 3 virtual courses to choose from in fall 2019. Enhance your research skills from the comfort of your home by learning what research success looks like and how to achieve it. Learn from the field's top professionals, network in a private group, attend class online from anywhere, and study on your own schedule throughout the week. We've asked one of the course coordinators to tell us a little bit about the course to help you decide if it's the right fit for you. Jeff Svare is one of the co-coordinators for Virtual Nordic 2, in-depth Swedish and Finnish research. Keep watching to learn more about his background and the course.
I'm Jeff Svare. I live in West Bountiful, Utah, but I'm not from here. I grew up in Minnesota and North Dakota. So as people around here in Utah like to say, you're not from around here, are you? And it's true, I'm not. I grew up in an interesting situation. A lot of the people that I associated with when I was a kid were immigrants and the children of the immigrant generation. So I grew up around a lot of older people who had lots of interesting stories to tell. And I knew lots of old Norwegians who talked in a very sing-song voice when they talked to you, because that's the way they did it back in Norway, and nobody does that anymore. So it's kind of cool that I actually remember people doing that. Grew up around lots of neat Scandinavian things that people it was just normal. It was like living in Scandinavia in a lot of ways, growing up in a moderately sized town in North Dakota. Professionally, I was an accredited genealogist in Norwegian research. I've worked for Family Search for just about 32 years. I've been involved in acquisitions for most of that time. A lot of that time was specifically assigned to Scandinavian records collections. And I've had lots and lots of visits to archives in the Scandinavian countries, and have found some really neat things and had some wonderful experiences and some great memories. And it's nice to be able to look at things in the collection and say, yes, I had a hand in us acquiring that. It makes me feel good about what I do. Know that people have used the stuff and been successful in using it.
How long have you been working on genealogy, and how did you become interested in it?
I have been working on my own genealogical research for over 40 years now. And it's been a lot of fun because my first trip to the Family History Library was one of the great memorable experiences I had. I walked into the library and I went to the reference desk and I showed the lady who was there. Her name was Margarita Choquette. She was born in Finland, speaks Russian, Finnish, English, wonderful lady. And I showed her this thing. I said, this is my great-great-grandfather's obituary. Help me understand what I need to know to find his birth record. And that was my first really big experience, and that was at the Family History Library. But I had other experiences before then, gathering information from stuff that people in the family had. I wish I would have had recorded more stories that people told me. I've started telling some of my kids stories that people told me about embarrassing things that I did when I was a kid that I have no recollection of. So I can't tell you if they're true or not, but they're funny. But my real first interest was at a family reunion with all these people that I didn't know. And I was introduced to someone and they said, oh, you're my first cousin twice removed. And I thought to myself, removed from what?
Tell us about your prior SLIG experience.
I have had several opportunities to participate in SLIG. The very first one I did was in 2015 when I was asked to teach a class on Scandinavian immigration as part of a course that David Womet was the coordinator on. A couple of years later, we were approached by Peggy Vanyo to ask us if we would be interested in putting together a course on Scandinavian research. And over lunch, we roughed out an idea of a couple of things we could do, and we worked on it some more and progressed through it. and came up with a couple of course outlines and some ideas for some really cool things that might someday work, but it's in the back of our minds that we'll do these things as kind of a cool add-on somehow. But last year, let's see, I taught the Nordic class in 2017, which was Denmark, Iceland, and Norway. In 2018, we did Sweden and Finland. Then last fall, we did a virtual course on Denmark, Norway, and Iceland. And then this fall, we'll be doing Sweden and Finland. They will not be the same courses as what we taught in person at SLIG in 2018. There are some differences. We've mixed up the curriculum a little bit, added in some other things. There's so many things a person can cover. We just kind of had to pick and choose and say, now this is the direction we want to go. And we did dropped a couple of things and added some things in. So we hope it'll be, we know it will be fun, because if it's not fun, you're doing it wrong.
Please tell us about the course you will be coordinating and the main topics that will be covered.
The course that Elaine, Hasleton, and I are co-coordinators of is Virtual Nordic 2 In-Depth Swedish and Finnish Research. The courses I'm teaching, they're all pretty record-centric, but one of the first classes we're doing is an overview. And it's kind of a get you in your mind in the mode of doing research and understanding what was going on when these records were created. The first class I'm doing by myself, which is actually going to be the second course, is called Where Are the Records? And Understanding Jurisdictions, Gazetteers, and Maps to help you understand what records are kept, who created them, and where they're kept, so you can access them. Because there's a lot of the good records that are hard to find. You can't go to the family history library and get, but you can get through correspondence. Or better yet, through a trip, because that's always fun. The next class I'll be doing is going to be on military and the merchant marine, which is a really interesting topic because the military archive has the biggest collection of maps in Sweden and Finland. And that's something people don't know about. So people don't go there looking for maps, but they really should. I mean, they have maps of battles and fortifications, but they also have maps showing cities and great details. The merchant marine is fascinating because there are so many people who joined the merchant marine and were professional sailors, traveled the world, and ended up somewhere else on the globe. And this will help you kind of tie them back to a place in Sweden or Finland to get more records and extend that line back. There's been a lot of people who have had some real success using the information we've presented in that class. The next one is a class on migration, emigration, and immigration, because they're all three related topics. So we're going to be talking about internal migration and things you can find out there, moving out of the country, moving into the country, and things like that. So there's a lot of different aspects to that. Then I'm doing a class on the archives, which I think is a blast, because we'll be going through the archive catalogs for Finland and Sweden and giving you some pointers on how to use those. So the other classes that will be in this course are a two-part class on church archives. Jeff Morris will be teaching this course, and he has an immense wealth of information about records kept by the church, things that you did not know existed. Jeff's also teaching a class on tax records, which cover a lot of the information on the number of tax registrations that took place over the time, because it's a really great source that people don't have a lot of facts about and may probably have some misconceptions about. He's going to help clear those up and help you be able to use those better. We'll also be having a class on probates and court records as two separate topics. Everybody dies, and almost everybody ends up in court for something in their lifetime as a plaintiff, defendant, or witness. And there's a great body of records that just never get used. One, because they're kind of challenging. Two, They're all written in longhand, and 3 people don't have any clue as to how to find an access point into those records. And we'll be pointing out some things to help you get an idea about when you should be looking at those records as well. Jeff's also going to be doing a course on the National Land Survey. He's got an ancestor who actually was a member of the Land Survey Board and has some great information on that. They've got a fantastic collection of maps for the country, and boy, what a wonderful resource. You can really add depth and dimension to your research by using the materials they have available there. Nicholas Persson will be teaching several classes, one on Swedish and Finnish culture, because even though they're 2 countries with the same laws and same rules, they're 2 completely different cultures. And that's a big difference, and we wanted to highlight that this year. Nicholas is also going to talk about minorities in both countries, as well as local organizations in Sweden and Finland and how they might be able to help you with your research. He's also going to talk about DNA, and this is one of the really big things we're excited about, because for the most part, a person takes a DNA test and you get back the results and says, hey, I've got Finnish DNA. And then you kind of go, well, so what? What do I do now? What's my next step? This is going to help you get an idea about how to proceed with that information. Elaine Hasleton is going to be doing a couple of classes on Nordic settlement in the United States and Swedish and Finnish local organizations and societies in the United States. And she is excellently positioned for doing this because she has done a lot of work with organizations in the United States to help improve education and gather material and publish material. So she's going to make a wonderful presentation on that. We're really looking forward to it.
Who would benefit the most from this course, and what basic knowledge should students have before taking it?
Because this is an advanced class, we're not going to be covering the basics of using church records, census records that you would get in a lot of introductions to Swedish and Finnish research. We don't have time to do that. That's not in the scope of this. So if someone's just getting started with their Swedish research or Finnish research, I would really recommend you not take this course at this point. This is geared toward the people who've had a lot of experience with parish registers and know the differences between a husförhörslängder and an inflyttningslängder, and can be conversant in using those and discuss them freely in a conversation, and have done more advanced research. They've started getting into probate records. They've got a lot of experience looking up people in the tax lists. Those are the people who will get the most out of this class because they've already got the fundamentals down. Now, if you have got some experience doing research, I don't want to dissuade you from doing this, because you can pull yourself up to speed on a lot of those things by using some resources that are available online. And I'll make a plug for the Family Search Research Wiki. If you spend some time going through that, there's a lot of great material in there that will help you get you up to speed on a lot of these things to help you prepare to do these. But again, it's not for the person who's just getting started. If you've used the church records and you've used the tax censuses and you know what's in a probate, you've got an idea about it, and you understand what's going on, then you'll be okay. Then you'll be fine, and you'll be able to move ahead with the class. So it's the intermediate and advanced researcher who will be getting the most value out of this.
What should students expect to learn by the end of the course?
That's a really good question. After the end of the first course we taught at SLIG in January of 2018, one of the students looked at me during our wrap-up session where we had an Ask Us Anything session going on, and she said, "Why hasn't anybody told me about these records before?" And I said, "I don't know why. They're there. It's just everybody gets so busy looking at the same 3 records, church and tax censuses and probates, they never look at any of the other stuff. And they never get a chance to look deep enough into the records that they are using to really understand and exploit the information." Exploit's a bad word, but it conveys the idea better. The information that is available to them if they'll just look through it. And sometimes, it's not an easy slog through some of this stuff. You've got to put in some effort. You've got to go through it. You've got to look at a lot of things, take lots of notes, and then you sit back and you assemble it and you look at it and go, "Oh, well, I've got something here that I didn't know about." And that hopefully will be some kind of actionable information. If nothing else, it'll get you more insight into your ancestors' life to help you get a better understanding of them as a person.
What is an interesting teaser from the course?
One of the things that makes our course unique is we always start with a joke. Because if you're not having fun, you're doing it wrong. That's one thing. But that's probably not the answer you want. So let me grab my syllabus from last year and see something. I will give you what I think was the biggest learning that I had about DNA. And that is, Finnish men are completely different from Finnish women. And you will understand why when you're done with this course.
We hope you enjoyed learning about the SLIG Virtual Nordic 2 in-depth Swedish and Finnish research course. Registration for virtual courses opens June 15th. Check out the website sligvirtual.ugagenealogy.org for more information.